Hello, I am Brian Germain, and this is Casual Chat. And I have been wanting to do this interview for ages. I got Melanie Curtis.
Yes, I'm so excited. It's time.
Welcome. Yeah, well, we've been on the same page with a lot of things for a
Hmm.
long time,
Yep.
and I love what you're doing.
Yeah, same. I mean, it's been so obvious. It's so funny that it has taken us this long to connect, but it's like it's been super clear to me for a long time. Like, God, I love what you share, what the energy and the love you put out in the world, how spiritually minded and inclusively minded you are. I just love all of it.
Right? And you're doing the same thing. You can tell when somebody is deliberately trying to be a light worker,
Yeah, absolutely.
deliberately life mission. I want to serve my people.
Amen.
Yeah, which isn't always easy.
Yeah, no.
It's not easy at all, but it's worth doing. And I don't know what else to do with my time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. It's certainly what fulfills me and fuels me and drives me. I just actually put up a post the other day, or I guess it was yesterday, where about how I love people and how I joke that even people I don't like, I like,
Yeah.
not from the not from the perspective that everyone gets unlimited access to me, but that I am that deeply fascinated by the human experience and our shared human experience and
Mhm.
deeply compassionate and deeply called to care and love for
Yeah.
people, just others, and be a space where people can feel loved and safe and held, which sounds kind of potentially cheesy to some ears, but to other ears, I think,
Nothing.
who are ready for that, it's powerful to
Yeah.
be like, yeah, man, I want that. I want to be loved and seen and held and lifted and all of those good things. And I care to be that. That's, why I do what I do and all the things.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. We're not separate. That's the part that it was a breakthrough for me at some point, and I'm sure it was for you, as we realized that consciousness is all connected.
Yeah,
You know, that the heart it connects us, and the ego separates us.
definitely.
The drama and the head game that's happening with all the
Mhm.
suffering that we build for ourselves. And so sometimes it does take people where, you step into the space of the mirror. I'm going to be the mirror for you, and I'm going to reflect back what I'm seeing and feeling and hearing with this deliberate spin of love.
Yeah,
Deliberate.
absolutely. Absolutely. What can I tell you about my friend? What would you like to know?
I love it. I know it. There's a lot. Well, so for one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about lately is, how can I help people that are like, sort of functional on a deep level, happy, sane, not nuts, people like me, people like
Mhm.
you. How can I help to shine a light in a way that illuminates the dark spaces, illuminates the places where, for instance, sometimes I'm lazy,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
And what is that laziness underneath it? Where is it coming from? Why
Mhm.
don't I step up into taking the walk when I need to? Why don't I step up into the space of thinking about how I can improve
Mhm.
this, authentically?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, goodness, there's so much I could say to that. I mean, for me, if I put it in the context of my work, just to start a discussion about that type of
Yeah.
leaning into that type of space. I've been a life coach now for, gosh, over 16 years. And I can tell you it was not cool back then. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who don't think it's that cool now, but it's way, way more accepted.
Yeah.
People know that the highest performers and people who are doing big and beautiful and deep and rich things in the world have support systems, have teammates, have
Mhm.
cultivated safe spaces where they can be looking into their dark corners, where they can be wrestling their darkness. Like this isn't something that necessarily is the thing that you put on the internet to sell per se, but
Yeah.
when people step into spaces of growth and team teammate relationships,
Mhm.
especially in the lane of coaching, life coaching, that type of stuff. That's what you're really signing up for, is you're signing up for feeling safe and seen enough that you can look at that stuff. You know what I mean? Because if you really are trying to go, oh, well, I want to get to the next level, or I want to whatever, do whatever buzzwordy phrase,
Mhm.
is the thing right now. If you really want to do that stuff, you actually need to do the dark parts. You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
most people that I work with are like type A's and really high achieving people. And again, it's not just work, but like a lot of my friends are like this, high
Yep.
achieving type
Mhm.
A's, like living, right? Living deeply, richly in their fucking lives. And it's good.
Yeah.
And what happens is we get strong suits, and then
Yeah.
we meet points in our lives where life takes a different turn, or just
Mhm.
flips us on our head, or
Yep.
a challenge that we would never choose comes up and we don't have the skill set for it. We're either grieving,
Mhm.
it's like there's so many
Yeah.
dark parts that we need support around. And when we actually accept that and
Yeah.
are cool to go there, then oh man, life transforms and we become so much stronger than we ever were, only using that other singular skill set.
Yeah, and to have somebody that you are willing to entrust your vulnerable, soft, white underbelly, see the
Yeah.
mirror and not trigger the defenses within us, right?
Yeah.
There's, it's like we have different sets of ears, and some of those ears immediately are, they're sort of looking for ways in which others might be assailing us or trying to make us small, and we're trying to defend, and yet sometimes we're defending from a truth that we needed to hear. We needed
Yeah.
somebody to say, get off your butt. I'm not saying that you
Right.
suck. I'm just saying you're sucking right now. You're not a
Right.
sucky person. You just got
Right.
into a rut. You got into a little bit of a set of habits, and you need to change your habits.
Yeah, the loving mirror is very powerful. And it's not just because the mirror being held up by someone that's scary
Yeah.
is hard to look into. And it makes
Mhm.
complete sense that people would run away from that mirror. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I can easily validate that all day long. But the
Mhm.
loving mirror, where
Yeah.
the person holding it is like, I got your back.
Yeah.
I love you. Ain't nothing gonna make me not love you.
Mhm.
This is what's true. Let's
Mhm.
look at this together. That is powerful.
It's hugely powerful, and as you're saying that, I'm thinking, well, what percent? And we can't come up with the numbers, but what percent of people who have been through the ringer, neurotic people trained by neurotic people trained by neurotic people for thousands and thousands of years, how are they going to trust that somebody like sort of that really is loving, that really
Yeah.
sees beyond the drama, the ego, the story, and sees the connectedness, the oneness of all consciousness, how are they going to even begin to trust
Yeah.
that your truthful words are coming from the right place?
It's a
That's
great,
that's the
great
point.
question. Really, really great question. I say what I would say to that, and this is from my experience, both as a person myself who has these types of support teammates and loving mirrors in my own life, because I believe deeply I cannot be in highest service to other people if I am not also in the work myself. Like I've believed that from day one of my
Mhm.
work as a coach in this type of way. But
Yeah.
sometimes the people are readily willing
Mhm.
to trust because maybe they have had someone that they trust deeply recommend me.
Yes.
Some people are more intuitively connected and they feel and they intuit right away that I am truthful, that I am real, that the love and the safety that they feel with me is there. And
Yeah.
then other people, and a lot of it's a mix of all of these, but other people need time. And it's like, I'm
Mhm.
chipping away at this sort of brick wall that they've built up. And I'm
Mhm.
just chipping away at it over time. And what I mean by chipping away at it, metaphorically, that's what I'm talking about. But
Mhm.
literally, what I mean is, I'm showing up on their calls. I'm texting them certain versions of validation that are true. I am
Mhm.
being there for them in a compassionate way when they need that. I'm holding them accountable. I am doing what I say I'm going to do. I'm in high
Mm,
integrity,
mm,
right? So like there's a lot of different ways that I know I can build trust over time. And another thing that I think is really important is that I don't demand their trust. I
mm,
know that I need to earn it.
mm.
And I am very patient and I'm very willing to let it take as long as it needs to take. I've
Right.
been working with certain clients for years, and
Yeah.
it's not that they don't trust me for years, but
Mm,
some take a longer time. And then we stay in
yeah.
that collaborative team relationship for years because it works so well.
Yeah. That's a great answer. Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
some of them don't resonate with you,
Yeah. Yeah.
don't
Not everyone's a
resonate
fit.
with you,
Yeah.
you
Totally.
know, and that's okay too, because there are folks that just don't want to heal today.
Yeah,
They heal
exactly.
tomorrow. They don't want to look in the mirror, and that's okay too. And that's the hard part for me as a helper.
It's
I'm like,
totally
you know what I
okay.
mean? It's like I don't want to give up on anybody. Whether you're
Yeah.
talking about helping people to flare their parachute and they keep crashing to the ground. I'm like, oh baby, I really want to help you, but you got to listen. You got to change what you're doing, and they just don't want to change, or they can't
Yeah.
change because
Yeah.
fear won't allow it.
Hmm.
And at some point, we have to recognize I'm not helping you. And if I
Mm.
really love you, I have to find a way to sort of shift you over to someone else.
Hmm. Hmm.
It was a different way of wording things and a different way of sort of reflecting or different transference.
Yep.
They look at me and maybe my voice reminds them of something, or they look at you and it reminds you of your mother, your aunt, or whatever it is. And that can either be helpful or hurting the transfer.
Yeah, absolutely. I've said this in skydiving coaching and life coaching for a long time. I completely believe that it's in service to people to get other voices,
Yeah.
other voices, other influences, other positive supports around them. So certainly as a new business owner or someone who's new to a craft, like when I was new to life coaching, I was like, oh my God, and skydiving coaching too. You want people to want to work with you, and
Yeah.
anybody who even shows any interest, you want to work with them and hope that they love it, and hope,
Mhm.
just you're just so almost so attached to the outcome that you, of
Mhm.
course, have that youthful energy around it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think over time, similar to you, right, as a skydiving coach, and where it's like you grow into that ease where you're like, I am absolutely at peace
Mhm.
if we are not a fit, or if
Mhm.
we've done great work, but now you're ready for something else.
Yeah.
Great.
Mhm.
Great. Like some of my favorite, I mean, listen, all my life coaching clients are my favorite, to be honest, but like there's certain people in my life that I worked with for 2 years, and then they moved on and they needed someone other than me because they had grown. Like I like to say,
Mhm.
I try to work myself out of a job, in some respects.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's great.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, some of the people I work with just once.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
not everybody continues, not everyone signs up. It's
Yep,
all
and
good.
that's
It's
fine.
all good.
Or we did our job.
Yeah, or it
Sometimes
worked.
all they wanted was to get back in the air.
Yeah,
I
totally,
get I
man.
get that a lot. Where they're breaking,
Totally.
traumatized. There's genuine
Oh,
trauma to the body, but also to the mind, and the visualization is keeps getting stuck in that place, mind looping the accident,
absolutely.
the mental gutter ball. And sometimes
Absolutely.
I give them some meditations, I give them some visualizations together. We'll do it, and they address it from a holistic perspective. That's my way to do it: mind, body, spirit, the whole thing.
Love it.
And they're like, I jumped this weekend. Thank you. I'm good.
Yeah.
you know,
Totally awesome.
for me, that's okay too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what a healing, beautiful thing to help someone
Yeah. Yeah.
overcome something that seems overcomable, like
Yeah,
unable to
like
overcome.
it's a mountain.
It's a
When
huge,
have you been broken?
huge
Did you get broken ever? I have. Good for you.
knock on wood.
I've been broken of so many times. I mean, this is
Oh,
I'm starting my 36th year of jumping out.
yeah. Yeah, I'm behind you a bit. I hope that I don't catch up.
Yeah,
I'm 27 for me.
you won't. Yeah, you won't catch up. I'm just going to keep
Good,
doing.
good.
I've hit the
That's what I want
ground.
to hear.
Yeah, I've hit the ground in so many different ways, and broken some bones. And honestly, every time getting back on the horse, it required that three-pronged approach. Mind, body, spirit, and in each of those categories had a little room to grow.
Yeah.
It was an awakening every single time, and I'm realizing that when these things happen, every time it was a lesson. And it was a lesson that I wasn't listening to prior to that happening.
Mm-hmm.
And the universe was like, Brian, schmuck, listen. You know what I mean? You're going too fast. You're taking things for granted. You're assuming, or you're not paying attention, or whatever it is.
Yep.
And then I have that time to slow down. I have that opportunity, with the injury, or in my case, a year ago, I had a heart attack.
Wow.
And it was a symptom of several different things, and it wasn't what I thought it was. And it was an opportunity for me to take a closer look at what caused this. How do I get to the root?
Absolutely.
Underneath, what is the function of this catastrophe? Because I don't believe in accidents.
What insight did you get? Can you share? Have you shared?
There was a lot of things. Well, the biggest one I observed that the way my mind works, I want to be in a high vibe, right? I want to be so that I can help, so that I can be in the space where I'm clear and open, which means that, when I meditate before a session, or I meditate, I go walk in the forest and clear my mind before a competition or before I'm teaching a group. That process is very helpful for shaking the Etch-a-Sketch. That's what I call it, of the mind, so that I clear my vibe. But just because it's not in my present mind doesn't mean it's not within my subconscious.
Right.
And certain things like resentment and anger and sacrifice that I don't feel like I should have made, I was stowing them away, and they were still there in my mind, even though I wasn't aware of them. And that, the heart is where, for me anyway, that was like, no, you can't do that anymore. Even if you felt like you were squeaky clean in the moment, it doesn't mean your whole mind was squeaky clean. So I've been, I spent a year of, meditating and looking myself, really squarely in the eye and journaling. Do you do that? You journal, then you finally get it all.
And then you get something.
And then I burn it.
Yeah.
I did it again a couple nights ago. Pages and pages.
Yep.
Just
expressing. You're expressing. Like, this is the thing. I mean, Jay Miletsky and I have a podcast called Trust the Journey.
Awesome.
Which, I know you know that, but and so why I bring that up is that on our show we talk a lot about our healing journeys and our work with plant medicines and just all kinds of meditation and all kinds of things that have helped us express. And I mentioned the darkness and stuff like that, but it's not always dark, but oftentimes it is. It's unexpressed sadness. It's old woundings that we haven't properly seen and loved. It's the inner child that at this age this happened, like all kinds of stuff that you're like, oh, haha, therapy, whatever. But really, when you get into the beautiful work of really and deeply self-expressing fully, it's amazing. And so, and that's the thing, like I bring up plant medicines, that's like a really hardcore approach to get into the back door of our psyche and the blind spots of our mind and stories and the depths and the healing and expressing toxins from our body, both emotionally and literally and all those things. But also from the perspective of journaling and being in safe friendships where we really feel like we can tell our stories, where you can go, oh, I was holding on to that resentment. Shit, man.
I gave up so much,
Yeah, like journaling.
Right. In my case, I love being a dad more than anything I've done. I've done some really, really cool things in my life.
Yeah.
My favorite thing.
Yeah.
And yet, as a dad, that also means then I'm not going to, be able to run off and do everything that I wanted to do, it's a sacrifice. It's a
Yep.
choice. But
Yep.
is it a sacrifice that we offer, completely, or is there a piece of us that we're kind of like, man, I shouldn't have to, the should thing,
Right.
right?
Right.
This is sort of something inappropriate or wrong, or I'm giving up more than I wanted to give up. That's the stuff that I feel like for me personally, I had to examine it further. I had to
Totally.
look deeper because you can either examine it or it's going to come back and hit you in the ass someday,
Exactly.
somehow.
Exactly. And journaling is really a powerful practice
Yeah.
because it's also very accessible. You know what I mean? Like it really is it's beautiful. I don't know if you've ever read the book The Artist's Way, but
Heard of that. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't, I mean, I read it, God, 15 years ago. So it's a long time. But why I bring it up is that one of the directives, the exercises inside that book is something called morning pages. And
Mm-hmm.
they essentially just direct you to write
Mm-hmm.
anything, literally anything, handwritten, 3 pages every morning. And
Yeah.
it's not that it has to be you expressing your deep childhood wounds. It can be, but it
Yeah.
can be also something totally fiction. It's a
Mm-hmm.
just this what is inside you that comes out, and there's this flow state that you can enter, and that alone is very healing too. But
Yeah.
often what can start to happen is that need to express or things that you didn't anticipate or didn't expect to come out start to come out
Yeah.
inside of a practice like that. And it's really, really awesome.
That's great. Yeah. And the artist's mind, right? So that's another aspect of the beauty of that. I really deeply believe, and I experienced that our complete self has an artistic side.
Oh,
And it doesn't
totally.
mean you have to be good at drawing,
Oh, yeah.
but
No.
the act of creation,
Yeah. Absolutely. Everyone's
right?
creative. We're creative
Mm-hmm.
beings. Living is creative. Putting on what you're going to wear, which
Mm-hmm.
direction you're going to turn to go to work, like how you're going to, it's everything that we do is inherently creating. So like
Mm-hmm.
people who I love the opportunity to reframe that word creativity. I just have like, I am not an artist classically. I don't necessarily like paint things that I'm seeking to get into a gallery, but who knows, maybe, but I do write. I
Mm-hmm.
do make funny videos. I do engage in flow state conversations like this one. This is pure creation,
Free
right?
flying.
I'm not reading off of
Yeah.
notepad right now. We're creating. It's so cool. So anyway, I am a huge proponent of creativity as freedom embodied and as a very healing avenue as well.
Yeah. I think it's tapping into that flow state in the moment self that isn't looking down. You know what I mean? You're just flying. You're not
Yeah.
worrying about tomorrow. I've had people say, when I get in the plane, I'm getting ready to leave, I'm thinking about the landing. You're climbing out of the plane, thinking about I'm worried about the landing. How about we
Oh,
here now? Let's go back to that one. Remember that one?
oh
Right.
gosh.
And with that in mind, I'm noticing that the human species has a tendency to develop habits as a
Yeah.
coping mechanism to create predictability,
Yep.
to reduce stress and create an expectation about the way your day is going to go and what things are going to do. And it creates a safety and a danger at the same time. The habits
No
that are
doubt.
serving you and the habits that are not serving you, either way, it becomes this constrictive, robotic lifestyle in the creativity, the like impulsive, you know what? I'm not going to do my normal thing. I'm not going to eat my normal breakfast. I'm not going to eat any breakfast. Let's try that and see what that does. I'm just going to drink some water and take a walk in the woods,
Yeah.
I'm going to pull off on my way to work. It's going to make me a little late, but I'm going to pull off and I'm going to go to the forest and take off my shoes.
Mm-hmm.
For 15 minutes, I'm going to walk around and commune with nature on my way to work.
Oh, I love that. I
What?
love doing that. Awesome. I do. I admit it. I love putting my bare feet on the earth. Oh,
Yes.
awesome.
I invite
So
everybody
awesome.
that, that it's like, wait a minute, that's kind of weird. I'm going to freeze my feet. Just give it
So
a try.
I don't care. It weirded up. I don't care. I'm
I
into
know.
it.
I've
Be
been thinking
weird.
that
Be
same thing.
weird.
Yeah.
Weird is such a great thing because it is the antithesis theoretically of the predetermined societal ideologies and structures that we are taught to live within, some of which are good and some of which
Yeah.
are not. And so, yeah, this
Yeah.
before we go forward to that thought, though, I wanted to say one thing that I say often about certainty is that certainty can be very seductive, and it's always an illusion.
Yes.
That like there's absolutely no predictable future whatsoever at all. Nothing. If I swear, if COVID taught me anything, it reminded me very deeply. And
Yeah.
I mean, I was connected to this idea quite deeply before COVID, but it's such a strong, powerful reminder that we cannot predict the future, that type of predicting and expectation is really almost
Yes.
futile.
Yep.
Like it's worth it for us to let it go, not to not set goals and just be like, oh, I'm just not going to do anything. It's
Right.
more like how to deeply practice detachment from the outcome while being driven by the values. Like you say, you called to service. I am called to service as well. That's why we're so connected, even though we haven't connected until now, really,
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. Anyway,
Yep.
I could go on and on.
I know, and you're welcome to. That's the whole point of a flow suit. It's a free fly. Like my favorite free fly 2-way, no plan. Right?
I know.
You get in the door with somebody you really love and care about, and you completely trust them. You're like, what are we going to do? I don't know. We're going to fly.
Jump out.
Yeah.
We're going to go together.
I've
Fun.
With a lot of different people. Yeah, TJ Landgren. I think it was like 20 years ago. I had never jumped with the guy before. And we went into like everything was perfect, and we invented all these things that had never been done before. We tracked it. We're like, what the hell just happened? I love that. And so this is the thing: is the comfort with lack of certainty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? To be just, I'm willing to continue adapting because I know myself.
Mm-hmm. It calls us towards self-awareness. Yes. One of the things that I like to, and I always and often frame around is skill building. Mm-hmm. Is that like, because I think there's this notion that some people have it, some people don't. I tend to disagree. I tend to disagree with that in the sense that I feel like we as humans are so adaptable. We're so able and capable of learning. It's just that people believe they can't. And that's usually what stops them. Whereas can I learn the skill of self-love, which sounds very potentially cheesy for those. I used to totally reject that term. Right? Yeah. Like, oh,
yeah, woo-woo.
Yeah, all this stuff. But like, can I learn skills of being in an authentic conversation? What does that look like? What does that feel like? What parts of me do I need to bring self-awareness to such that I can actually be more of, quote, myself, whatever the fuck that means? Like there are things that we can do and skills that we can learn to get into those spaces and into those ways of being that we think we can't access. We absolutely can. It just might take a while and it might be hard work. But if you're up for that, it's definitely available, Yeah,
the hard work part of it, the piece of life that is a little painful and uncomfortable, right? Whether it's getting your running shoes on and going out and running. Yeah. It hurts,
And that was me yesterday. I was like, I got to go to the gym right now or I am not going. I can feel it. I can feel that I will not go. I got to go right now.
I don't know. At 4:00 in the afternoon, I went for a 5-mile hike yesterday and I was like, if I don't get back in time, I'm going to be late for my Zoom, So it forced me to just like really go for it. And in the middle of the hike, I was like, I did it. I just need to keep doing this. I just always,
Totally.
Keep doing it.
Totally.
The pain is something that I've been trying to sort of pay a little bit more attention to, is reinterpreting the pain. Yes, life has physical pain. Yep. It's got discomfort emotionally. whether we're talking about, getting outside of our normal habits,
Mm-hmm.
or, normal conversations, normal career, maybe for some,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? To get into that weird zone where we feel inspired
Mm-hmm.
and a little uncomfortable. For me, it's acceptance of the fact that life has an element of it, at least my life, when I'm in my highest self. I don't really know what's going to happen, and that's okay too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to hurt some suffering.
Totally. It's tough. That's a tough one a pill to swallow if a person is like wanting to control, feeling say, and I'm not saying that was you, but meaning like I've seen that a lot, certainly in myself, wanting to control outcomes, feeling very gripped to things. And that's partly also where you see, and this is me, like the super high achiever, right? I'm going to be so good at everything. I'm going to get straight A's. I'm going to be VIP in every sport or whatever the F it was, I'm going to sing in the lead of the school play, all the things.
Yep, I know.
And that skill set is really useful in a lot of ways because it's helped me do a lot of really big things. And I'm grateful for that part of me that is called to achievement and working hard and being challenged and being like peak perform, like really going to those edges of what's possible. I'm really interested in that in a lot of positive ways. On the dark side of that, the yin yang of that is I have to be so much better than X, Y, Z, A, B, C, any other person, or I have to be this good because otherwise my, dad won't love me or my mom will disapprove or whatever it is, or just the kids will make fun of me or I won't be welcomed into the cool kids. Like that stuff isn't necessarily consciously happening in your brain, but it's like that stuff is there. And it's like once we get eyes on that and we heal that stuff, it's like, oh cool, I can just use this honest drive to do something big, and I can leave the rest, like, and I it almost makes me think of Project 19 and the latest women's vertical world record that we just did. And it was quite a struggle for me to decide whether or not to do that because I'd basically retired from that type of skydiving. The last record I had done was in 2013. And I'm not that called to big waves. They kind of scare me, that type of stuff. But the purpose and the drive, the underlying value behind that effort of championing women and girls and championing women in skydiving, that was very resonant for me. But also on the light side, the light worker side of the house, I was like, this is a real, true opportunity for me to be a part of an amazing team, an incredible team, and I'm like, I want that experience, and so what did I do? I chose into the pain of training, of getting recurrent, of having to jump, of having to give up opportunities that I couldn't do because I had to go to training camps, right? Like I chose into that pain and it was very deliberate, but my old self would have just done it and been like, and then totally fallen on my face afterward and not understood why I was so exhausted. Whereas now I'm like, I know I am exhausted, but it's actually good exhaustion.
Yeah. Exhaustion with meaning.
Yeah.
You know where you're headed with it. We look at the world in general, what humans have the potential to continue evolving into, right? One is the observer of the screens, right? Where we're just sort of slipping slowly backwards. There's no forward, to me, there's like forward motion or slipping backwards. You're on a conveyor belt at all times. Either you're passionate and pursuing, growth and expansion, or you're headed in the other direction.
Totally, man. Totally. Oh, growth fuels me. Growing excites me like that. It's totally a core driving value for me. No question about it. You know what I mean? And that's what's cool about skydiving is there are so many things that you can do inside of skydiving that you could, if you get bored in skydiving, it's really just kind of, you not exploring other avenues. You
Right.
can certainly decide to do other things outside of skydiving, which has been my path too, right?
Mhm.
I skydive much less than I used to. I'm very focused now on highlight and doing demos and
Mhm.
that work that we're doing with the WSN, the Women's Skydiving Network, and everything.
It's
But
awesome.
thank you. That's where I'm focused now in skydiving. And I feel really good about that. But I'm not necessarily going to the drop zone, and I'm not coaching and organizing at Boogies anymore. And I feel very good about that choice because it
Yeah.
allows me to go and get on the train from my house and go to New York City and see a show with my partner or one of my good friends or whatever. It's just like that
Yep.
balance, and those
Good choices.
new life choices feel really good to me.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. We're always going to, when we choose one thing, it means we're not choosing something else.
Yeah.
We don't have an infinite amount of time, where there's limits to our time and energy. And at the same time, down the road, we can change our choices.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
we just have
What
to
are you working on now
choose
that
them.
you're excited about? What's your growth
There's
edge?
so many
Other than
things.
the, healing darkness, the stuff that you were saying earlier, but it's like, what are you working toward that
Well,
has you
that's a big
excited?
piece of it, of course. But of course, I teach canopy courses everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
all over the world, I fly in, and I'm trying to expand. How can I serve them better? Help them, not just the noobs that are
Yep.
crashing into the planet again and again, but everybody else. To give a greater meaning to your canopy ride, to enjoy it more, to make it more contemplative, and expand what you can do with your parachute, and particularly flying with other people.
Oh,
I
cool.
love flying with other people, especially when we have comms, when we have the ability
Yeah.
to talk and
Mhm.
soothe them, and lead them down the valleys in the clouds or down the valleys in the mountains. Of course, one of my favorite things remains flying in Norway.
Awesome.
Down big cliffs, either leading or following, depending on, how the wing loading worked out.
Brian, you will
I
laugh
love
at
it.
this.
Love it.
I literally, so one of the other things that I do, because I don't coach skydiving and go to events anymore, I just want to do other things.
Mhm.
I've had an online sort of skydiving coaching group for 7 years. It's been a long time. I literally, and it's designed for people who want to work with me.
Yeah.
Right. Like I wanted to make myself still available to people. So it's whatever, like $5 a month. I make people pay because I think that paying is a buy-in, literal buy-in, an energetic
Yes,
buy-in that
absolutely.
has people get more
Absolutely.
value from the group as a result of it. So why I bring that up is because one of the students in the group just this week mentioned, and we were talking about this, about, is there canopy coaching available where you can be flying next to someone? And I was like, yes, I believe so. I'm like, but I think I don't know. And I was like, you think you'd have to have like a comm system? I literally was just talking about this with this girl.
Yep.
And I'm going to go back and tell her that she should connect with you because
Go on YouTube and type in "talking skydives."
Yeah.
In my name, and there's I don't pull them all up, but there's a lot of them.
No, totally. I'm going to absolutely point her your way because I was like, who does that? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, does anyone?
Yep. And I just released a video teaching them the safety stuff, and the technique stuff. It's just like, you're flying like this. We want to do a right turn. If we do it the correct way,
yeah,
we end up next to each other. We do it the incorrect way, we get even further apart.
I love it. I love it.
There's
like
a lot.
That's a beautiful high level experience under a parachute. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Because how it is. We've been in skydiving for how long?
Yeah.
It's like that stuff didn't exist back in the day. You would just like throw your pilot chute and hope.
Well, even back in the day, we did crew. I came from a drop zone. We would do some of that stuff, but like just hand signals and
that's what I mean.
It was very limited, and now because I can remind somebody to breathe.
Yeah.
All right, go to your rears now. All right, and then now we're going to steepen it. Go into the fronts. We're going to just keep driving to the front.
I love it.
90-degree turn to the right. Take a deep breath first with me.
I love it. And that's an example of technology, right? Like that's technology, you wielding a technological advancement, both for you as someone who is in the air, helping someone really connect to their parachute, being really connected to this person that you're flying in close proximity with. That's beautiful.
It's two channels, right? You connecting with your canopy and you connecting with me.
Exactly. And then us talking on Zoom and doing this interview and creating this, hopefully this is adding value to people that are coming to this show, and
So
me having an online group where because I always thought
great.
it was a travesty,
Yeah.
because I'm like, I have 20 plus years experience. It is
Yeah.
preposterous that I can no longer help new skydivers,
But you
because that's
keep,
like that's my favorite thing to do, is help new skydivers.
yeah,
And I was
keep,
like, but I don't want to travel. I don't want to travel as much. I just am tired, you know?
yep,
So it's just
exactly. Oh,
great.
believe me, I know. I'm
Yeah, I
still doing it.
know.
I
It's
only
just
did,
so
I only did
tiring.
14. I did 14 canopy courses last year. That was,
Oh, it's so
but I did have a
tiring.
heart attack at the beginning of the year. So,
Oh my
you know,
God.
so I only made 36 jumps last year because
Oh
of it.
my
I did a lot
goodness.
of speed flying, paragliding, and stuff like that too.
Wow.
When my ticker was still sort of getting better, and I had to get over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a crazy time, but I'm once again empowered.
Yeah.
When I recognize how each of us has the capability to heal ourselves
Yeah.
because we realize the root of it, and we allowed the well-being of the universe to
Hmm.
to repair the cells of the body that know what to do if you get out of the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and for me too, a lot of what I'm deciding into is recognizing I'm so grateful that I have so many opportunities. I don't know if you probably feel this, that you reach a point in your career, your life trajectory, where you are magnetizing opportunities, and it's
Yeah.
a wonderful, beautiful thing. And then there's the experience, at least it has been this for me, is, oh, what a great quote problem to have so many
Mhm.
opportunities coming my way. I have to learn how to select
Yeah.
what I'm going to spend my time on. The last few years have been really intense because of Project 19 and
Yeah.
building Highlight, and life-changing opportunities that I would never trade. I'm thrilled, beyond thrilled, that I did all of the things that I've done in the last 3 years around those projects.
Mhm.
And now having a recognition of like, okay, what do I want my involvement in skydiving to look like?
Mhm.
What do I want
Yeah.
for time? Because like now I'm feeling called. You're talking about this healing journey, and I'm like, my next book is I'm starting to write my next book, and it's about my healing journeys,
Good.
both with plant medicines and therapy. Just like, it's really going to be expressing those stories as service, as always. But
Wow.
I need time for that.
Yep.
I can't be in the weeds running businesses if I am wanting to really write a book. I'm going to need large swaths of time where I can be creative. And so I'm working to create that for myself.
Yeah, you just keep on, even if it's just pieces of your day, every day,
Yeah.
pieces of it.
Yeah.
Exercise as well. Just
Oh,
every
yeah.
day, just a piece of your day where you carve it out and you say, I'm worth it. I'm worth it.
It's like the old hair dye commercial back in the day. Sybil Shepherd back in the day. I'm worth it.
Well, there is a voice in everybody's heads that says that you should serve other people and your needs and your dreams are irrelevant.
Yeah.
But you got to step up into your own spaces.
You can only serve others if you are well cared for.
Hungry farmer feeds nobody.
Correct. Correct. No doubt about it.
Yay, good. Well, keep nurturing it. I'm very excited about everything that you're doing. I really am. I fully support.
Yes,
Every new thing
same.
that you pop, I was like, yes, you go.
Uh,
Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep nurturing, the positive vibe that is required to heal this world.
yes, my friend. Thank you. I'm so happy we're finally doing this. I know I said it at the
Yeah.
beginning, but I'm just so grateful to share space with you, and more to come, I'm sure.
I'm planning on it. So
Heart hands.
let's carve that out. Yes, indeed. Yeah, we'll just have to make a plan, for something more. And if people out there in the audience have suggestions of what we could do
Yeah. Oh, I like
together
that.
to serve you
Yes.
guys better, to help in more ways,
Give us your ideas, team.
please do. All right. Thank you so much. That was
Thank you.